Welcome to the Pardes channel. Today we explain Prophets Joshua chapter 14 in a clear and simple way, step by step. We're going to walk right through the original Hebrew text together, unpacking the simple, plain meaning, what we call the Peshat. The goal here is so you can clearly understand the who, what, where, and why of this absolutely incredible narrative without getting bogged down.
So, before we get to that amazing, dramatic moment, we really need to understand exactly where we are in the broader story. The Israelites have just crossed the Jordan River, some massive, significant battles have already been fought, and now they're in the crucial phase of actually settling the land of Canaan. Now keep in mind, this isn't just a matter of people wandering in and setting up their tents wherever they feel like it. It's a highly organized, divinely orchestrated process. And right in the middle of this vast administrative effort, right when you think it's just going to be a list of borders and names, we get one of the most inspiring, deeply personal stories in the entire Hebrew Bible.
Okay, here's how we are going to break down the chapter today. 1. Context and the land. 2. Caleb steps forward. 3. A promise kept. 4. Hebron is granted. 5. Key ideas to remember. And finally, 6. Practical life lessons.
Let's jump right into section 1, context and the land.
We're starting with verses 1 through 5, which really provide the administrative setup for the inheritance, basically the ground rules. Verses 1 and 2 tell us exactly who is in charge of this massive undertaking. The land is being distributed by a specific committee: Eleazar the priest, who represents the spiritual authority, Joshua the son of Nun, the primary military leader, and the heads of the fathers' houses for the tribes. Together, they're distributing the land by lot to the 9.5 tribes. And it's important to remember, the lot wasn't just rolling dice, it was a divine method. It meant God was directly guiding which tribe received which specific territory.
Moving to verse 3, the text clarifies the map for us, and this brilliantly illustrates the exact geography of the moment. We just mentioned 9.5 tribes receiving land, right? Well, you might be wondering, why not 12? Because Moses had already settled 2.5 tribes, that's Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh, across the Jordan River over to the east, so they are already taken care of. Furthermore, we learn that the Levites, the priestly tribe, were excluded from land ownership entirely. They were given absolutely no vast territories to farm. Instead, they only received specific towns to live in, along with open pasture lands just for their cattle and flocks.
Now, what's really interesting here is verse 4, which does a little bit of biblical math for us. Think about it. If the Levites don't get a tribal territory, wouldn't that leave us with only 11 landowning tribes? Well, the text actually explains that Joseph's descendants became 2 separate tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. Because Joseph was granted a double portion, his 2 sons each get a distinct tribal inheritance, so that perfectly keeps the total number of landowning tribes at exactly 12.
Verse 5 wraps up this administrative context with a very simple yet incredibly powerful statement. It confirms that the Israelites divided the land exactly as the Lord commanded Moses. Think about human nature for a second. Nobody altered the plan. Nobody negotiated for better real estate or a nicer view. They obediently and strictly followed God's exact instructions. So the stage is perfectly set, the rules are being followed to the letter, and the nation is organizing itself beautifully.
That brings us to section 2. Caleb steps forward.
Now we shift gears completely. We go from a broad national real estate census to a deeply personal and highly dramatic encounter at the main camp in Gilgal. In verse 6, the men of the tribe of Judah draw near to Joshua, and from among that group, a very specific leader steps out, Caleb the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite. Caleb approaches his old friend and fellow leader, Joshua, to remind him of a crucial, life-changing conversation they both had with Moses years ago back at Kadesh Barnea. If you recall, that was the location in the wilderness where they had both been sent out as spies.
Let's look at how Caleb's personal history builds across verses 7 and 10. Caleb just lays it out plainly for Joshua. He reminds him, hey, I was exactly 40 years old when Moses sent me to spy out the land. Now let that sink in. 45 grueling years have passed while Israel walked in the wilderness. And today, standing right there before Joshua, Caleb announces proudly that he is 85 years old.
In verses 7 and 8, Caleb recalls the vivid details of that fateful spying mission. While the other 10 spies came back and literally made the hearts of the people sink with terrible fear, talking all about invincible giants and impenetrable walls, Caleb remained totally steadfast. He tells Joshua, I brought him back a report as it was in my heart. Even when his own brothers caused a massive national panic, Caleb says, I wholly followed the Lord my God. He absolutely refused to bow to peer pressure. He bowed only to his faith.
Moving right along to section 3, a promise kept.
This brings us straight to verse 9, which is the absolute foundation of Caleb's bold request today. You see, his inheritance wasn't just going to be a random lottery ticket drawn from an urn. Caleb reminds Joshua that on that dark day of rebellion, Moses actually made a solemn oath. Moses swore that the very land Caleb's feet had trodden upon would belong to him and his children forever. Why? Specifically as a divine reward for his wholehearted faith. So right here, right now, Caleb is essentially cashing in a 45-year-old promissory note.
And this brings us to verse 11, which is just brilliant. Caleb is not looking for a quiet, sunny place to retire. He declares, "I am still as strong today as I was in the day that Moses sent me. As my strength was then, even so is my strength now for war, and to go out and to come in." I mean, wow. Even at 85 years old, Caleb is bursting with vigor. He isn't claiming his reward so he can sit back in a rocking chair. He is claiming his reward so he can actively lead the charge.
In verse 12, Caleb drops the bombshell of what he actually wants. He says, "Now therefore, give me this mountain, whereof the Lord spoke in that day." Notice he doesn't ask for the lush, easy valleys or the peaceful coastlines. No, he asks for the toughest territory possible. He openly acknowledges that the Anakim are living there. Now, the Anakim were a race of formidable giants, literally the exact same people who terrified the other 10 spies 45 years ago. Caleb knows perfectly well they live in great, heavily fortified cities up in the rough hill country.
But look at the absolute conviction in the second half of verse 12. Caleb says, "It may be that the Lord will be with me, and I shall drive them out as the Lord spoke." His immense confidence doesn't come from his own physical muscles, even though he's remarkably healthy for an 85-year-old. His confidence comes entirely from his plain, simple trust that God will fight for him exactly as promised. The giants don't scare him one bit because he knows his God is way bigger than the giants.
And that leads us to section 4. Hebron is granted.
We finally arrive at the climax of the chapter in verses 13 and 14. Joshua doesn't hesitate for a second. He blesses Caleb and officially grants him the territory of Hebron for his inheritance. Joshua completely honors the 45-year-old promise, and the text explicitly states, yet again, exactly why this happens, because that he wholly followed the Lord. It's Caleb's unwavering, decades-long dedication that results in this massive, historical land grant.
Verse 15 clarifies this geographical history for us in plain English. It notes that the name of Hebron before this time was Kiriath Arba. Now, Kiriath means city, so it was literally the city of Arba. And who is Arba? Well, the text tells us point blank he was the greatest man among the Anakim. This really highlights the sheer magnitude of the intimidating territory Caleb just claimed. He didn't just ask to fight some generic giants. He asked to take the main capital city built by the greatest giant of them all.
The narrative of Joshua 14 beautifully concludes at the very end of verse 15 with this short, simple, yet profoundly deep statement, "And the land had rest from war." Think about that transition. After all the major campaigns and after this incredible, tense moment of faithfully claiming the absolute hardest territory by Israel's oldest soldier, a true period of peace falls over the land. The inheritance is finally secured.
Let's quickly review in section 5, key ideas to remember.
So, here are the core concepts we've uncovered in our walkthrough today. First off, the land was divided strictly according to God's command. Order and obedience were paramount for the Israelites. Second, the Levites were uniquely set apart to serve God instead of working agricultural land. Third, and this is the big one, we see a stark contrast between a whole nation that feared the giants and one faithful man, Caleb, who showed faith instead of fear. We also learn that God's promises remain rock solid and true, even if you have to wait 45 long years to see them fulfilled. And finally, Caleb proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that true strength relies entirely on the Lord, not on human odds or human muscles.
Wrapping things up with section 6, practical life lessons.
How do we actually apply this today? Well, here are 3 steps. Number 1, have patience with promises. Caleb waited 45 long years walking in a harsh desert, but he never grew bitter. Number 2, stand by your convictions. When 10 people tell you something is completely impossible, be the one who stands up for what you know is right. And number 3, face your giants with courageous faith. Don't constantly look for the easy way out. Ask yourself, which giant in your own life is waiting for you to step up with Caleb's unwavering courage? Thank you for learning with us. If this helped you understand the chapter better, like, subscribe, and join us for the next chapter.